So I will call the meeting to order on our first meeting of 2023. That's pretty cool. So let's start with the minutes that Rick sent around.
Everybody get them? I've got a copy here if you want to see them.
I'll give people to look for a second.
I ran through them quickly, they looked good to me.
Yep, I looked at them quickly and it looked good to me too. Any other comments?
I did.
Do I hear a motion to accept?
Motion to accept the minutes as presented by Rick.
Second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to accept the minutes as submitted by Rick that he sent around. All in favor?
Aye.
So those are approved unanimously. Any treasurer update, Susan?
Yes, as a matter of fact. As most of you know, we have 3 accounts that we're connected with. And the Ryder account is exclusively for Mount Jeff Conservation Area. That has $4,191.32. Pretty much static most of the time. We have a donation and expense account, and it's been static for a long time, but it reflects a recent amount of $100 from East Quabbin Land Trust. So that brings that balance up to $348.34. And Mark did a turnover. Sounds like something you eat. But thank you for expediting that. All right. And thank you, QLT.
What is a turnover?
You're turning over funds that you have
Oh,
received
that-
to the accountant.
I thought it was some kind of technical.
Cherry or apple, but whatever, okay. Thank you for getting that done. And it came to the select board, right? And didn't the letter go around? I thought
I
you sent
emailed it to everybody.
Yes, so everybody's, which was lovely. I mean, they do a fantastic. I don't know if she ever sleeps, but anyway. And then we have the Hubbardston Preservation Trust, which is basically our hay monies. And that's administered by Parks and Rec. And after the recent deductions of the materials for some trail work, invasive species, some posts, everybody got paid, right?
Yep.
You're one of them. No? You folks haven't gotten your checks?
Maybe I did get a check.
Should I send you the invoice for the screws?
It was, an invoice from Mark and Tim for invasive species, and for the project over there was posts and something from Home Depot. It just got posted, this afternoon, so maybe the checks just went out.
Checks in the mail, Mark.
So look for it.
I got my check. I did get a check recently, I just thought it was for other expenses, it may have been combined.
Oh,
for
okay,
everything.
all right. Well, I have the exact amount that, should have been in there, $242.09
Yeah.
from Mark, and then,
I'll let you know if it's not
okay,
right.
all right. And thanks to some others who donated some of the things, like the paint and so forth, and when you can, and if it's easy at that point, that's great. Otherwise, this stuff mounts up, so from time to time, especially something that we do regularly, like maintenance, like the invasives. So anyway, it's good to have the monies available. So the balance after that deduction is $12,947.76. So we are blessed. I'm done. Unless there are any questions.
All right, no other comments on that? Updates on the following, probably not much on Destiny's Garden, I wouldn't suspect. Anybody heard anything on that? No. And then your Eagle Scout project, Hunter?
Yeah, I have my Eagle report that I sent to you guys all on the email.
Yep.
I move up, I feel like an old person now.
Going to the big people's table.
Alright, did you guys all get a chance to look at my Eagle report? I sent it to everybody. If you guys check your emails.
It's a good question.
Rick, my mother sent you the pictures of the
Yes,
trail signs.
I sent them to
those
everybody
around.
as well.
Yep.
Alright,
I wanna see them in person, so.
well, it's open 24/7,
You got me.
Yeah, so I've got all the signs that you guys wanted up there. Got them all painted, all done up. All in correct spots. Trail markers have been painted with some minor injuries from my mother slipping. I thought she broke something, but she didn't.
Oh, gee.
I'm glad it wasn't anybody important.
That's pretty much it for the project.
Didn't your dad
Great.
cut his finger off with his router or something?
Nah, I think he still has all 5 fingers. Unless he had that 6th finger. But, if you guys are satisfied with my project, somebody has to sign a report.
I can do that.
Here for signing tonight, there you go.
Just write down here, beneficiary name.
It's the 11th.
23. Do I have to put a position or anything down here?
If you want, cause it does go up to council.
Yeah, so what happens next, Hunter?
What happens next is I gotta go bring that back over next door to my unit leader and he reviews it. If he's satisfied, he'll sign it, and then I have to fill out Eagle Scout application to council, and they review my whole entire project on, the board of review.
So this was kind of the last
What?
thing you had to get done to be able to
Yes.
apply?
The last step in order to become an Eagle Scout.
Great,
Excellent.
great.
Is there a ceremony for that then, at some
Um,
point in the year, or?
Yes, it's Eagle Scout Corps of Honor. I have no idea what I wanna do for it. I have to plan it and plan all the dates.
Really?
Yeah. So
And make you do the plan for your own ceremony.
Celebration?
well, some of the plans,
So soon.
some of the plans done by the old Scout Masters in my troop.
Oh.
You guys will get invitation. Don't worry. It'll come in the snail mail. So
To the all-night rave.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to send it to all the wrong addresses. I'm at it.
Great.
That's pretty much it.
Well, on behalf of the board, thank you, that was,
Yeah,
Yeah.
excellent.
great job.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yeah.
Signs it
That's
good.
great.
If you guys need any other projects done while I'm still in Boy Scouts, feel free
Don't
to
call me.
call me.
24/7.
Feel free to call me. I've got a phone, so you gotta call my mother. Or show up to a troop meeting.
Well, actually, your mother's already volunteered you for 4 more things.
Oh, she didn't tell you that yet?
Yeah.
Nope. Alright.
Thanks.
Very good.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Hunter.
Yep.
Land Priority Subcommittee stuff. So I sent around an email relative to, we were trying to get the list updated, so I sent in just one property that I was aware of that was not chapter 61 that probably should be on there. That was Guarlinos property, that's a vacant property. And,
It's on the list.
what?
It's on the list.
Yeah, no, but was it on the list to begin with?
Yeah.
Okay, even though it wasn't 61?
Yeah, that list had all the open space,
Okay.
61 or otherwise.
Okay, just vacant land?
Yep, open
Okay.
space, yep. Actually, I think he had 3 parcels, if I remember right.
I do have an update. And the status on a lot of these parcels could have changed
Yeah.
since that spreadsheet. I finally caught up with Jenny in the assessor's office today. It's been a challenge catching her, but I got the updated chapter 61 list today. And I need to look at it more closely, side by side with the old one, to make sure that what I think I'm seeing is actually true.
There's a few things that don't look right, huh?
It was very unexpected to me anyway. If I'm reading this right, the number of acreage in the various chapter 61s has more than doubled in the last 2 years.
Whoa.
Really?
Wow.
If that's true, first of all, some of these properties will have changed status from.
Well, that was all Bob's.
Yeah. I wish it was that amount.
Yeah. Yes, I know there are 3 chapter 61s, Mike. And 61, I'm talking about 61, 61A, and 61B. But that definitely changes the picture substantially, as to, I mean, it may just be a transfer from one category of open space to another category of open space, but it can change the way we look at things, because stuff that is now moved into chapter 61 becomes subject to the purchase option if they take it out again. Whereas regular private land, town does not have first right of refusal on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's huge, because it means that, well, the implications are bigger in terms of town finances than they are in terms of the protection project per se. But from a town finance perspective, that's really significant,
Yeah.
because only a little over half of our land is taxable anyway.
You know, do you recall roughly what the acreage is?
Yeah, I mean, it was in this listing that Rick sent around from 2 years ago, it was about 2,000 acres in chapter. Now it looks like it's 4,500 acres, which is about a third of the taxable land in town.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That might account for their
Which,
revenues.
yeah.
CPA. Yeah, that's a whole nother story, because I have a meeting next week.
So anyway, I'm gonna dig into this more in more detail this weekend, and I will let you know.
Very good.
So, Tim, the 10 properties that you sent me had some that weren't on the list. So, where did you pull those from?
From, on either list, or
On the list I
total
sent
open
around.
space list?
Yeah.
They're probably not under chapter 61.
Were they, do you remember what?
They're probably,
Code was?
they're probably coded as residential developable land,
Or, or,
which was,
So they wouldn't have been on the open space
right.
no,
list, okay.
no. There's a couple of them are gravel pits.
Yeah, well, I think there's one gravel pit on there from the Templeton people, but, okay, just curious.
To what do we maybe attribute this wonderful philanthropic or environmental push of so many people at the same time? It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Or is it just,
Well, assuming it's true, it's presumably a matter of education, more people learning about the Chapter 61 program, and more people tired of paying taxes.
which, relatively speaking, Hubbardston isn't outrageous compared to a lot of other communities, but 1481 or something like that, right? Per
The
thousand?
rate,
Well, anyway, I don't,
You can
rate's
start-
13.08 for
Oh.
this year.
what was I
Oh.
reading? Okay.
It was over 14 a couple years ago.
Oh.
Mm.
Well, be careful what you wish for, you might get it. That's
Yeah,
that's kind of,
well, I'm not saying it's a bad thing necessarily, it was just unexpected, and I gotta make sure it's real.
and it has a lot of impact though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You,
that's the thing.
you know where the list that you received came from? How that was developed?
Yeah, it came from that desk over there. This is a spreadsheet that Jenny keeps separately, but it came out of the assessor's database.
So
And I'm gonna compare it to the FY '23 database, which they uploaded to MassGIS as well.
So it's not anything that originated with DCR.
No, this is coming out of the town assessor's records.
Wouldn't what they, from the database, the assessor's database, what they uploaded, wouldn't that be necessarily more accurate if it's not the same as her spreadsheet? If she's keeping that on the side, perhaps?
It depends on the timing involved. I'm not sure when the FY '23 file went to the state.
Sure, okay. All right, more to come?
Alright. Let's see, now what I wanted to do next relative to the project here is, and I asked folks to come up with a top 10, which you could either send in via email or however you wanna bring it, and get that to Rick. And that'd be a good next step to actually start using the tool to evaluate maybe a conglomeration. We'll look at the different quote-unquote top 10 lists, and then maybe just take the conglomerate set of that and see what that looks like volume number-wise, and if it's somewhere in the 10 to 15 range, then probably just take them all. If it's 70 or 80, which it's not likely to be, then we'll probably pare it down. But I'd like to get going and having some meetings, so the next step would be to get that list, and then you can take that and see what it looks like.
Yep.
And then we can schedule a meeting to use the tool start using the tool to evaluate the properties. So
Yeah.
that's how I see things as a next step.
Yeah. I mean, one thing we're gonna have to consider is that this is gonna have to be a desktop ranking exclusively, as opposed to like when we did Ragged Hill, everybody went out there and stomped around and looked at it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is just gonna be a top level, what we can get from maps and.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's be the case anyway. It's fun to see places, but, and some of them we're actually familiar with already.
Yeah, true.
Probably you are, you traipsed over everything in this town, so.
Did anybody send you the parcel that Chris Monroe was talking about over on
Streeter?
Streeter Road?
No, I gotta get.
We were
in touch
trying to
with-
figure out where it
I'll
was on
send
that
to you.
list.
I'll send that to you then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we should definitely do that.
Was that a tax taking, is that what I remember?
Yeah.
And that's almost 40 acres, 38
30.
something, right?
538,
Something like
something
that.
under 40.
Just relative to viewing parcels, what's the status relative to posted or not posted? Yeah. I thought you could, not that it's gonna be a great thing and you don't want necessarily to keep walking on people's property, but if it's not posted, I know, they're like, for example, the Sawyers previously have not posted their land, but for whatever reason this year, maybe they had more hunters on it or something. But they now have put posted signs up all over the place on Sawyer's property. And I know they've probably had 6 or 7 hunters out there, and shortly into the hunting season, they got at least 3 in the first few days of the hunting season that we're aware of, because we know some of the people that were over there, so. Just may not be good.
Do you have any definitive answer, Mike?
For,
Or are you allowed to walk on somebody else's property?
If it's not posted.
I believe that's yes, and if you do an internet search, I was told by
I believe the answer is yes.
Mass Wildlife told me, and they explained the old English law, like in England you can, take paths and cut across people's property, and that's why Massachusetts has this. But you can, post your property, and you can even post it under, Chapter 61B, open space, but under the recreation half of 61B, you gotta have the, what do they call it? You gotta be like Pinecrest, where, there's like a dues paying members or something. and then you can post that property.
So, yes, I think the answer is yes,
Yes,
but,
yes.
They're not good etiquette. just
but I
to-
also, am generally not inclined to test the finer points of legality with a landowner with a shotgun.
Wise choice.
Well, Mike brought up one, I think it was 61B recreation, is that what that one is?
That 61B recreation,
The, what about 61B recreation, is that, are you allowed to go on that?
Yes.
'Cause-
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
There's two flavors of 61B,
okay,
but
cause,
if you-
'cause
but if
at
you-
least one of them, and I don't know what they all
But
are.
if you
But
specifically-
directly behind us is a large parcel owned by somebody named Irving Peters, who lives in South Carolina, I believe.
Yes, that was interesting.
But there are a number of people
Other,
that are
I was,
a long ways away. There's a number that are in-state, just don't live anywhere close to Hubbardston, but then there's a number, like Peters, that are like Tennessee and South Carolina, I don't know how they ended up with substantial property, but they did. All right, but at any rate, Rick will get that done. As soon as you do that, Rick, then we'll,
I need the lists.
okay,
I've got Susan's and Tim's,
okay,
so,
and I'll get you mine. And if anybody else wants to chime in with their top 10, then get it to Rick. And Mike, you wanna be part of when we get to go over that list and start using the tool, you wanna be part of that?
I most certainly would like to be part of that, thank you.
Okay. All right, anything else on that? Mike?
Yes, if you ever have any questions, I read this, nice little pamphlet that the assessor puts out over there. And the nice thing about it is for 61, just 2 pages, and summarizes it, posting allowed for forestry, posting allowed for agriculture, and under 61B, posting allowed under natural, wild, or open category, that's defined as the open space. Posting may be allowed under the recreation category for organizations with paying members. I kind of paraphrased that a little bit earlier using Pinecrest as an example, but there it is. And while we're on this, I might have misunderstood what the spreadsheet was for. I thought it was all for 61, chapter 61 category properties, but there's anything that's undeveloped in there. It would seem to me that.
Well, undeveloped and undevelopable
And undevelopable, okay.
by the assessor's land use code. Yeah.
So that was
wait a
my
minute,
first,
Well, I'd like to clarify that.
yeah,
We mean and undeveloped, on top of, but not that same property.
If you,
Right.
there's lots of people that have, say, well, not lots, there are properties in town that
there are a lot.
are,
actually.
are 100 acres, but are coded as developable residential.
Yeah,
So they're currently undeveloped, but they are they're currently undeveloped, but they are developable, and they would not appear in that list that Rick
Right.
sent around.
Yeah, all those 1320s you see on that list are all undevelopable. Is that a word?
Yeah, it's
undeveloped.
just hard to pronounce.
Yes.
What does undevelopable mean?
It means it does not have sufficient frontage on a road, it means it's landlocked,
oh,
Wetland?
it means it's less than 2 acres.
Well, I'm
90
specifically thinking
acres?
about DeVico's property, and it's classified as developable, but he's got no frontage.
If he has the adjoining parcel,
He doesn't,
with frontage on that,
nope.
don't know then.
I know that one specifically, cause it's right nearby. It's the property that, almost totally surrounds Ford Lane.
Well, he's-
It
His
encompasses-
property's in 61, in chapter 61.
Orlino?
You said DeVico.
Well, I meant Orlino, excuse me.
Oh,
No,
Orlino
I lied.
is,
Orlino.
Orlino is use code 7130, so again, that's chapter 61
61A,
B, or 61A, so,
It is?
yeah,
agricultural.
All right.
that's 'cause he logs it, right?
Oh, maybe he changed it. Okay.
That would be 6,000.
Well, this was 2 years ago, so.
All right.
You can actually have woodlots under either.
Oh, you
All right,
can-
well, that's a
Some are under
good thing
forestry,
then.
some are under agriculture.
That's a good thing, cause I was pretty sure when I looked at it that,
What is this 90 acres tree farm or Mayo Road?
At the end of Mayo Road.
Has anybody, I've never heard of it, I mean, and it's 90 acres, that's a lot of space. What's the
Yes, it
deal?
is.
okay.
I believe
So are
they're-
they allowed to post? They're not an association with members.
Oh,
They're
when you
commercial.
use the term post within the context of what? That it's 61 or that you cannot do things on it?
No,
Oh,
you're talking about trespass.
This land is posted.
That's right.
Huh?
This land is posted.
No
Okay, but
trespassing.
posted meaning what? What does that mean?
No trespassing.
No trespassing?
Yeah, you don't have a right to access.
Okay.
So if it's unposted,
So even 61B, you can post it.
yes,
Most of them.
I mean, it's right here in the law
Okay.
summary. Unfortunately, our assessor did not know that. Jenny did, but because I asked, George several times, the answer always came back contradicting what's right outside his door here in the
Okay.
pamphlet.
All right.
What-
It'll-
Okay, good.
Good.
I have a couple more items here. The spreadsheet that I printed out was the one that starts with, the 153 acres, the Prentice property. I think I misunderstood what this spreadsheet was for and what property was on there. Can that be explained?
Yeah. So a couple years ago, when we were trying to determine the cost of community services to we used it as a selling point, if you will,
Sure.
on the Fieldstone Farm
Mm-hmm.
thing, but
I
So-
remember that. I was
so
just
Mark
getting back.
took this information off the assessor's database, I guess, right? And it's just and he then went further and segmented it into open space, separated it, cause he just took the whole database and using the use code, separated it into open space.
Okay.
So that's all it is a list of all the open space land by assessor's code.
But not by chapter 61.
No,
That clears it up completely.
No.
Chapter,
That's-
chapter 61 was a subset of
Right.
the bigger list. That
Right.
was everything that was coded undevelopable by the assessor.
Okay,
and
that,
then
that
after
did it for me, that,
I just pulled it out of his spreadsheet and whipped it off to everybody, and then I started playing with it a little bit, and I just resorted it so that it made, because, you know, from a standpoint of what our priorities are, you know, it's not that land that isn't chapter 61 we wouldn't like to conserve, but,
right,
you know, for the town purposes, so they know, so that's where we're heading with the prioritization exercise to start with anyway. So I just resorted it so all the chapter 61s came first and then everything else, but everything on there is open land.
on this list, the one that I'm talking about, the first spreadsheet, the first properties are the ones that are chapter 61?
Yeah, anything that's in use
If
code,
it's coded above 6,000, then it's a chapter property.
yes,
Okay, well then that looks
except for
like,
state land.
all these things that
That's
I'm
not
looking
on.
just right here on the first page. And Mark, if I understood correctly, you said there was about 2,000 acres that were in chapter, either
2 years ago.
forest, right. And now, well, that sounds not right, because the Stall property is over 20 acres, and that would be 10% of all the chapter property in town. And
That would be 1%.
oh, I'm sorry. You're right. My math is definitely off. But still, it seems like 2,000 acres doesn't sound like very much, which is what you were indicating. Yeah.
I think the sheet that Rick sent around had a total at the bottom.
It
Yeah, but
does.
that's all
but
the undevelopable land as well.
Oh,
Right,
right.
right.
There was
And that's-
4,364 acres of open land total,
Right,
but
Yep.
not of chapter 61 land.
So if this is chapter 61, then I should see the Stall property on here somewhere because it's been approved and meets the criteria, and we
When-
don't see it.
How long-
When did it go
how-
to
how long is-
61?
Yeah, how long
It's
has it
been there for 40 years,
Okay.
40?
30,
Oh,
a long time.
It's not on the list.
No,
Shh. You know, I'm teasing.
Yeah.
No,
Interest-
I mean,
interesting.
how can that be?
well, that's why I stopped getting into this, and I'm glad there's been clarifications.
Yeah.
The other thing is, there was some talk about Pinecrest and that Pinecrest by and large should not be considered, but they have one huge tract of land that goes right down the west branch of the Ware River.
Oh, yeah, I'm
And
well aware of that.
It's 180-ish acres, and I think that one should be on the list. It'll probably be on my, top 5 to 10 or whatever.
But they own it and it's already got a CR, right? Wouldn't it?
No, it's
No,
in
it doesn't.
chapter. It's in
So-
61B,
61B.
according to members, Bill Homans and some of the people that I deal with the East Quabbin Land Trust there. They live in Pinecrest, and
Yeah.
they've given me permission to go on the property.
However,
It's
they-
not posted.
Yeah, they don't own as much land there as I think they do.
Okay,
You know how the three trails go up and over the hill?
right,
When you hit the crest of the hill, that's the end of their land.
at that point, but
The
along
rest-
the Ware River, it extends all the way from up at Lombard Road. Matter of fact, it has 2 frontages on Lombard, and it follows the Ware River. It's kind of a narrow strip, but it goes for a mile.
On the east side of the river or the west side?
Mostly
Well,
both
actually,
sides.
both sides,
Both sides, yeah.
but it does not, the parcel, on the south side of that hill, on the west side of the river, is claimed to be owned by the town.
Oh, that
They-
piece, yeah.
They use it as their own on the trail system there.
It's real easy to see because it's. So, goes from right there, see that narrow frontage, and then there's a bigger frontage here. But it's this parcel right there.
Yeah,
It would have caught
I'm talking about over.
Oh, right.
over-
Yeah, this is what they call the Beaver Dam pond. Nope, this is Sweet Pumpkin Farm or something. There's another pond here. It must be on the blow up.
How do you spell
STOLL. And this thing broke the assessor system. I was gonna use it today to check out some of these properties. And it was there yesterday, last night, for the select board meeting.
Anyway,
Yeah.
neither here nor there for the moment.
Yeah.
But anyway, I will, you have the assessors database up? Wonder what they have it coded as.
180?
Ask Tim to share.
No, what 180 is? What's the acreage on it? 24 acres?
That was very helpful.
Is that the property, your
Yes.
property that you're talking about?
So take the 2 acres out of it and
It's not,
22.
it's not coded by the assessor as, chapter land.
The updated list maybe.
Find out what it is coded as.
Okay.
You're paying chapter
What is that?
taxes or regular taxes?
ones that-
Plain
180?
chapter taxes,
Oh, you
'cause
what?
I'd be in
Still
here.
there.
There's been a lot of anomalies I've found
'cause-
through
Yeah,
assessor's
John
information.
has first
Yeah,
read it
yeah,
in chapter
that's-
61, so we would have known about it.
That's how it
Yeah,
runs
that's
with assessors.
said, sold it,
And
took
I
it out.
just
So let's
read-
close this out or move on?
Yeah. That, I just wanted to bring up those few items. Thank you.
All right, enough on that until we get, hopefully I'd like to start getting some evaluations done this month. That'd be good to go through that first batch of properties. The open space plan subcommittee?
Yeah, we're actually making some progress. Surprisingly, I'm not that far behind where I was hoping to be at this point. I was hoping to have all the inventory chapters and maps, all the inventory stuff
Mm-hmm.
done around the 1st of February. And I think I'm gonna be close. I've started reformatting the report and pulling in the stuff that's not gonna change and figuring out what needs to be looked at. Tim has been working up the US Census data,
Mm-hmm.
DOT, traffic counts. Anything else you've been playing with?
No, there's a couple more tables that I need to update still, I think. A couple more things in chapter 3.
So I think we're gonna be pretty well through the inventory part of it, early February.
Good.
At our next meeting, which means we need to move into the phase of public participation and getting more participation from other boards. So at our next meeting, I'd like to talk about who we wanna dragoon from other boards
Okay.
and start getting the invitations out to them so that we can have a meeting like early March. And start working towards goals and action plans and stuff like that.
Okay, that sounds good. The ARPA funds, what's the status of that? I know we had tossed around potential Mass Trails grant. It's getting a little late for that at this point in time, but
Yeah.
you're down to about 2.5 weeks or
Yeah,
something.
no, that's not of this year. Mass Trails grant thing. Yeah, I have not heard anything, which means presumably it was not good news on the
Or it's just no news.
well, yeah, it was not good news. It was either bad news or no news on the ADA grant.
Oh, okay.
That's the one.
Well, that's one we didn't expect any kind of
Mass offices-
success on that, right?
We didn't,
No,
but we
we
couldn't really claim that 16 grand until, on the off chance that it
Oh.
came through, we
Right.
we couldn't use that 16
Okay.
grand that I think has been designated, although I'm not entirely positive on that either.
Yeah.
Even last night, the select board was having some kind of conversations about ARPA funds, and I'm not sure what that was, but it was in the agenda. So I'm not sure if everything's been finalized or if it's still in play,
Right.
but at any rate, yeah, we haven't heard. Did you ever wind up putting a Mass Trails grant in on anything?
No. Maybe next year.
Right. Mowing, we're gonna do that in the spring unless we get a bunch of warm weather.
You get stuck in the mud then.
Yeah.
So, probably
I
spring.
wonder,
Late
this
spring.
was great. They didn't print out the wrong one. I'll pick up the wrong one. I'll print it before I saved it. That's probably what I did. We had, in the new one, there was a talk about the telephone pole for the gate up there, so that's a spring project. Let's let's see, I'm trying to remember what else I had on there, cause I printed the wrong one. I had one other topic here. Any other new business?
You
or-
had, your conversation with
Oh,
Nate.
yeah. The, so I met with the, new town administrator, which probably, I don't know if everybody has met, him or not, but, very good vibes with Nate Woodrow. He's really supportive of, trail interconnectivity and all the different aspects of things, the, ecotourism aspects of things. I was in a select board meeting for just a brief period of time last night. Cindy Schlenner had, come in to just talk about what was happening with a Ware River Trails subcommittee, and wanted to get support from the town on a few different topics, like, and send a letter to DCI, like they, not major impact, as I can see it, but, the DCI wants to outlaw long-distance swimming in Comet Pond, and, a couple things like that, and it's like a matter of, well, why are you gonna do that? But at any rate, cause they probably can't outlaw it from, if you have property on it, right? Do they own the water?
I believe, well,
They may.
it's not a great pond. I believe they do, and they're,
Oh, so they control the water then?
yeah.
Alright.
I think maybe it's a great pond. It's got some state designation.
Moosehorn is, I can't remember.
Comet's been, dammed, and I think Great Ponds, they go back before the dam.
No, great ponds can be dammed.
Can be dammed, but to determine its original status, I thought I read something about, you can dam them, absolutely, but it originated from
Becomes a great
before
pond
the
if
dam.
if it's big enough before the dam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Is there a ponds of special significance? Comet might be something else, not a great pond.
I don't think, well, I've got one other item if, when we get to unlisted items. Other,
At any rate, but just the topic just came up relative to the ecotourism, and there's significant support with the whole select board for that kind of for that topic. So that was good to see. I found the correct one. Regional Trail Committee at Doyle. I did hear from Chris on that, and it was sounded like it was a little bit disjointed. There was no conclusive action, other than it would be good to have a regional trails group that sort of could end up with maybe a more coherent regional trails plan and that kind of stuff. So it was just a meeting to get the ball, and this is a little summary here, but this is a meeting to get the ball rolling. So there was support for the concept of it, and there was a good support that thought that, we ought to have a regional trails group up in this area that goes probably from Leominster out maybe as far as Athol or something in that range. Although they did, I think, he did specifically exclude Athol, I think, because of the
oh yeah,
Yeah,
cause
because of,
cause that's curly
our
land.
friend.
Because what? What, is this an inside thing? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, the
It's curly land.
It's what?
Oh.
Bobby Curley.
Curly land.
Cause there's already a group there, and I'm not
Okay.
sure there's I've been part of Dick O'Brien, Bobby Curley, back and forth and so on, and some of those aren't too pleasant, but
How far south were they talking about going?
down into Petersham and maybe
This- this-
out to the Quabbin
It's being driven by MRPC, so it's basically the MRPC or a subset of the MRPC communities.
So there's
Now
nothing,
excludes Rutland. So
yeah,
needs to be both.
Well, that's part of how, Christopher Monroe was our representative that attended the meeting,
Ah,
and that was one of his, takeaways,
yeah,
was that we wanna be talking to the CMRPC
Yeah.
towns at the same time.
yeah,
so there's more to come on that, and they're gonna, schedule some additional meetings to maybe take some next steps. Another thing coming out of the Nate meeting was, he previously came from Princeton. Although this is his first town administrator job, I believe, from talking to him.
It is.
In Princeton, and this was a suggestion to us as an open space committee, their open space committee in Princeton has something called the Princeton Hikers. And they do like once a month hikes, something like that, on a regular basis. And so that he thought that that would be a good activity for us to think about and maybe sponsor something like that. You could have different flavors of it, like some of the routes that we take maybe could be a little bit on the aggressive side, maybe, depending upon what route you took. Some of them could be on the easy side, and so you could tailor things to and just label it to describe what the hike is going to be like. So people that may have a few walking issues may not want to go on that particular one, but if you said this is going to be an easy one, relatively flat, then they could also pick and choose what they want to do. So the
Any thoughts of having a docent involved that could explain the trails and the history and?
yeah, it's things like that.
Mm.
You know, I mean, it'd be great. I mean, we talked about this, and Chip Pederossi was going to do try to do a little bit more history of some of the areas, like
Right.
the stretch along the Canesto. That must have been a pretty active stretch of land. There's a number of crossings that were there. I know just from going along it. There's a big abutment right near where we had put the beaver deceiver thing, but just downstream from that,
That was the sawmill site.
there's another smaller abutment, but then there's one plank left on it. Yeah. Have you seen that? Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Ruby took a beeline across that
Oh.
thing. Not something I would walk on.
Yeah, in Tewksbury, we started a hiking group like that, and we had someone who would explain the history of it, and we advertised it at the local farmers market, and we were overwhelmed. We had like 150 people show up for the first hike. We were just absolutely shocked.
Oh.
There was huge
150
interest.
people, wow.
Yeah.
But along those lines, if we did form something like that, I mean, you could have the different types of hikes, and we've got a variety of different trails. You could do something like an Indian cave walk, although I don't know if that's how many people could go on that.
Yeah.
There's a number of treasures around town.
Yeah.
Like the cave. I still have not seen the cave and the big rock. And I've lived here for 17 years.
So the guy that would be
Gary-
able to do that would be Gary
Gary
Kangas, but
Kangas.
whether he'd be able to do the walk or not, depending on how.
He's
Well,
pretty
I was thinking about
spry.
that. If we get into this and want some history, it would be good to have somebody want to follow up on that historical aspect of some of the places in town, the different cellar holes, the history of the Canesto, and I'm sure there's other areas in town that
Yeah,
have some nice
exactly.
historical stories that
That's
go along
a
with
good
them.
idea. And I'm just, the seniors, at some point, I was thinking of trying to, this was Fieldstone Farm era, to get people out on the lands. Should maybe start with a senior group, and Sue Breeby lives right down the road, and Claudia lives right down the road, and they're like the powerhouse of the senior group. What about a senior picnic? Always have food. hike and a picnic, like
Oh.
at Mount Jeff, and then maybe have the picnic, and then those that wanted to stay for a hike.
Well, you see, if we establish a group or a subgroup,
Yeah.
it would become the core of the hikers, and it doesn't, we need a few members on that, obviously, to be part of that, but then you could have other people, just like we got Mike on this other subcommittee that we're talking about here. You could pull in a few other people that would be the organizers of the Hubbardston hikers, if you would. And so, I don't know, anybody wanna follow up?
Now comes the, yeah,
Sure.
everybody looks around.
Yes,
You do, Tim? Good. And then maybe a few other people might wanna join in with Tim to
Yeah,
help out.
I'll join with you. I can't lead it, don't have time, but I'd like to be part of that.
okay, good.
I know, I'm talking to this gentleman over to my left here, I had an interesting conversation with him, I don't know if you remember, Mike, but this must be at least a year ago or something, and you had come in from walk, somehow we would get into the talking about different kinds of plants and, was it meat-eating plants, what kind of plants?
The insectivorous, the carnivorous plants, pitcher plants, sundews.
Did we actually have these in town, and I guess you've seen them, or?
Oh, yeah. I go, well, they're not out right now, but go ahead and keep talking, I'll come up with a photo. I'm actually on the hook to the library to give a talk on this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then it'd be best to happen about late May, June timeframe when the pitcher plants are flowering. They have a big blossom high up above the bog, the other heath plants, so you can see them. They're, you know, they're a very large bloom. Matter of fact, the largest probably wild bloom you'll see here in Massachusetts.
And what do they eat? I mean, you said it's a carnivorous plant, but you know, I mean,
Well, this is a pretty well-known family of plants. It's just people think that they're, you know, tropical or something, but they go up to the bogs of the north, and it's just hard to access them a lot of times. And if you don't know the time of year that they're active, but pitcher plants, mainly ants, sundews, mainly ants also. Was an expert up at the Harvard Research Forest, Dr. Aaron Allison.
over in Petersham?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from him. He's got a book if you want to buy it for $200. I don't know, 150. It's a pricey book, but yeah. There's some pretty accessible points too, if you don't mind crossing a small moat that is often kept open around the edge of a bog. Oftentimes beavers do that, or it's just a succession transition that you get like a little moat around.
Well,
the edge.
I mean, the point, I guess, of bringing that up, there's only, and once the group gets together and start thinking about just different things, instead of just going on a Mount Jeff walk every
Oh, yeah.
time, you
Be a
can do
theme.
an Indian cave thing, vegetation type thing, interesting vegetation of different ideas that people might really be interested in. You get out and see the flora and fauna of the town, particularly the kind of unique aspects of it, so.
Tim, have you ever met Gary Kangas?
Nope.
Somewhere along the line? Have you met Gary Kangas?
No.
Okay, I'm just sort of, I'm thinking right now.
Good.
Not committing right now, but just thinking. Cause he would be a key to the historical things, definitely. And he's kind of fun to be around,
All right, so that's good, I mean, that'd be a good thing for this committee to do, so it'd be great to follow up on that. All right, so that's the end of my stuff. Other new business?
Well, one thing, we have to figure out when we're gonna meet again.
Oh yeah, that was on my list and I just skipped it here.
Well, if we did it the last Wednesday, it would be in 2 weeks, but if you have some sort of mini deadline coming up early March.
Well, I know there was a little bit of discussion, and a lot of it was, Mark's got some commitments, so
Right.
that limited some of the dates, so what's good with you, Mark?
Where in the month are we aiming?
Well, that's
Last or first-ish?
Well, right now we're in the middle. Maybe we should stick with the middle.
Oh, no, but it probably would have been I forget, if we were the last, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It
Well,
used to be
before
the
that,
last-
we were the first.
So let's go for the
That's
middle.
right.
Originally, we were the first, but because the select board or other
Yeah.
boards, everybody met on the same
Yeah,
night.
and we wanted to sometimes have a meeting before they met and
Right.
stuff,
So
so.
then we moved
That's, yeah, we were at the end, cause we wanted to meet before the Concom met on the first Tuesday.
Oh, that's right,
Okay.
yeah.
So there was a reason.
Yeah, so that's where we were, which is fine with me. I'm open on the last week of the month for any day.
Oh, any day, I thought you had some, days that weren't,
It's the first and the third weeks that I'm,
oh, so any day of the
Oh.
last week, you wanna keep it the last Wednesday then, is it?
Sure.
So that brings us to the 22nd, right, of February. That's the last Wednesday. And you said something about early
Oh,
March.
right.
Um,
I see what you're getting at.
so it seems like it would be better to have a little more
Well, I guess
preparation.
Unless
don't-
we're ready for a meeting in 2 weeks, but,
Yeah.
It depends on whether we wanna push it down the road or hit it head on.
well, what we could do this time is have something in between as we transition to that.
Let's do that. Wouldn't that make the March thing more feasible, more productive? If we had a mini meeting and then one right before, you wanna do the
Yeah.
March?
Yeah, we
Well,
could
it's
have
not
one
an
in the first part of
To
February.
get other people involved, other boards.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of noodling around with, yeah, I mean, it probably is something we should discuss in full committee.
So what
Um,
about if, I mean, here we are here, what about if we met early February and then late, or I don't know,
Well, that's in 2 weeks, so that's what we're
yeah.
discussing.
Well, you could push it into the,
How about,
first week in February somewhere.
Yeah, February first is 3 weeks from tonight.
That might work, and then one here, and then you're ready for this next phase, getting the other committee people involved, other. If we're having trouble
Is-
with
is
this,
that-
I don't know.
is what you're-
We're all.
Is what you're envisioning with the other committee people, kind of just a separate meeting, or so it's not necessarily an open space meeting?
no, that would be a
So,
separate working group meeting.
yeah, so it doesn't have to be.
Oh, okay, but he was just thinking that's the next phase of getting the open space up and running,
Yeah.
so. And that's assuming people will show up once they've committed, so.
First
And I have one other little thing to bug Mark about.
Lucky you.
Yeah, lucky you.
Thursday. Yeah, the first week of February, any night but Tuesday.
First full week?
Yeah, first full week. Week of the 6th.
So that's 3.5 weeks,
How about-
maybe,
Yeah. How about the 8th? How about Wednesday
4
the
weeks
8th?
Wednesday the eighth?
We wanna stick with Wednesdays? Is that what we're on? Yeah,
Wednesday the 8th is
yeah,
fine.
this Wednesday.
Yeah, that sounds
Sure.
good.
So are we saying though that the first Wednesday of the month is gonna be a regular meeting,
And,
or are
No,
we
the
just saying?
last Wednesday.
and we'll do a short
Okay,
one in February. We'll do Wednesday the 8th plus Wednesday the 22nd.
okay.
And then we'll be on to a regular schedule of last Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that
That works.
works. Real, no more zooming, thank goodness, right?
So go ahead and vote.
Oh, so is that settled?
Yep.
Okay. So, remember you mentioned hours,
Yes.
volunteer hours, and I actually went to Google, what did I go to? Google whatever, there's
Drive.
nothing there, right?
No, there isn't.
Okay, so I was looking for something that didn't exist, so I knew I was frustrated, okay. So,
I
No
think
pressure.
That's gonna be a good place to put it, but it isn't there yet.
oh, okay, no pressure, but do you need some sort of proof then too? I mean, because I was thinking, okay, Girl Scout Garden, when did I start that? And I happened to save this from the paper, which was, the 2020. This was the fall. So I could, go back and estimate, cause that took a lot more time, and then the maintenance is less, but it's consistent.
Uh-huh.
So do you need to keep some sort of proof somewhere?
I don't, but
No.
No? You trust everyone, okay.
Well, I'm part of, just like Bay State Trail Riders, and actually you get a few little financial benefits from it, like free membership and stuff like that, but.
Oh, the hours.
But they don't,
Yeah.
they're not out in the woods to see that you're out there when you are, say you are. or
Well, no,
something
I'm
like
just,
that.
this
No,
would
I
be
just want
for,
free membership, let me see, but.
the Hunter's Eagle report had the full set of hours in there for that project, so we've captured that.
just things like that. But you could just keep a log yourself too if there was ever, or just with the Girl Scout Garden, initially it was this, and now yearly maintenance requires X. So something like that. So no pressure, when it appears, we can fill it in.
Was this for DCR, for Mass Trails grants?
Well, that's
That
what
kind
I
of thing,
thinking.
yeah.
Why
but there's-
not?
but it's-
Any kind of
But
grant.
there's a form you fill out for it.
Oh, well, no, yes, there is.
That logs your hours. They wanna know who, what, when, where.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
What the topic of conversation was whether as a group, we should keep track of all our volunteer hours
Mhm.
doing whatever.
Right.
Trail maintenance or projects and whatnot. And one of the values for that, other than self-gratification, would be, when we're applying for various grants.
Right.
We can point to that.
That's helpful.
Right,
in
but,
those
but-
things,
but
right?
but DCR grant money's like $38 an hour for
Yeah,
volunteer work, it's big. It's-
Yeah.
You're talking real money here.
Yeah.
Yeah, not cash, but you get credits for your,
Yeah.
your grant money.
Matching.
Right,
That's your
grants,
matching
right.
grant, yep.
Really?
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
we
that's-
should be as particular as we can. then.
yeah. But
So
you have
all
to
your
fill
trail
out
stuff.
who, what, when, and where, and
I mean, your trail
Why?
side stuff.
Well, that's why I was thinking something like
That
this
was-
would be,
that
Yeah.
was-
you
that
could
was-
scan
part
it
of the-
and put it into
part of
Google
our-
Docs
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Piece of it.
I mean, it was part of the grant paperwork, and I'll transfer it into this internal
Yeah.
spreadsheet as well. But yeah, the value of our labor for that trail signage grant was, I wanna say about $4,500.
Hmm.
Oh, easily. That was hard
Um,
work too, some of it. You had to dig 3
plus-
times to find the right
Plus
people.
Bob's machine time.
Right. So we can start our own little thing, but then we'll consolidate it on the Google Drive, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Is that,
Yeah, we
I
can
mean,
do that.
are you okay with that?
Yeah.
All
I
right,
don't care.
okay. Well, I don't know, I was just trying, cause I said, oh, wait a minute, hours, and so I wanted to know how to do it, so.
Want me to put that in a spreadsheet or something, people fill in,
All right,
or how do you?
I've got the one that I used for the grant, so I'm just gonna recycle that and
Okay.
put it up there.
all right. Any other new business?
But if you have other ideas, once it's up there, if you have other ideas, we can modify it, certainly.
Mike?
I have one if it's not on the agenda, do you have just a, open item there at the end?
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe I'll hold off.
Oh, no, that's
Oh,
it.
no, we're
Oh,
We're
that's,
at the-
okay.
we're
that's
at
what
the
I
end.
said.
We're there.
Well, this is the perfect segue because, I was gonna bring up, I drug a barrel out of the Malone Road woods.
Oh, you're the culprit.
I'm the culprit, yeah. Well, I was gonna email you guys and attach the photo. And there was also an antifreeze can, and Buddy said that's not good for wildlife, so he helped me get that out. So should I be telling you guys about this stuff? And
That depends. Is it
Let-
still there?
Yeah, it is.
yeah, it is, yeah.
Why is that helpful?
Because you don't want that out in the woods where we're hiking
So
around and
You're
stuff.
saying, should you remove it? Is that what you're
Well, how do you want to treat this? You know, should I just tell you in advance and say I found this? You know, I just as soon drag it out and get my exercise while I'm there, you know, and get this stuff out of the woods.
Well, the problem, Mike, is if we do that without any plan of how to properly dispose of it, now we've got a sharp rusty barrel sitting at the end of
Yes,
the parking lot.
that's exactly, I figured we'd solve the problem and you'd give me direction.
So what do we do with this stuff?
Well, I mean, the last time we did the huge
Terrible.
cleanup, we had the DPW come by with loaders and dump trucks and
Cause you're already doing
Recycle it for
something up
scrap.
with the concrete up at Mount Jeff. Is
Yeah,
that still
yeah,
ongoing?
but that's a one-shot type thing as opposed to, you know.
Ongoing hit or miss.
Yeah, and there aren't too many people like you, Mike,
Yeah,
that
that's the
would
problem,
do
I
that.
know.
But if there were, if you're extrapolating, you know, that people were bringing stuff out of the woods up off of Mount Jeff trails and the other trails and just leaving it at the entryway, then it's a good thing. We would like to get that stuff out of the woods, but I don't know how we handle it is a different story, I guess.
Well, you can put it as an agenda item for the future. And if you want, I'll go get rid of that barrel, I'll hold it, and then when they do the town-wide cleanup, I'll bring it up to their dumpster and throw it in. But I knew this would instigate action, and sure enough, several people noticed.
3 times somebody, or some people have established a pile of litter at gates,
See?
and somebody cleaned it up. I'm assuming it was DPW because the big, well, it's been cleaned up twice. The big pile was cleaned up around the same time they were running up and down the road with the blower. But I mean, I think probably right now at Gates there's still a little pile of trash right out by the road. Looks like hell.
Could we ask DPW to pick up that barrel?
I was thinking that, but
I'll talk to Travis. I just found out today that we still have a ferrous metal trailer or dumpster at the old recycle center. I thought everything had been shut
Oh,
down
yeah.
entirely there.
Yeah.
But that dumpster is still there, that the DPW feeds when they find something. I'll talk to Travis.
So is that where
Do
you
we
want
know
to
what
bring
was-
that?
there is a ferrous metal dumpster there now still?
That's what Kathy Hansgate said today.
Do we know what was in that barrel, Mike? Is it completely empty? And
Yeah,
It is.
it's all degraded,
oh,
probably
in
a
pieces?
third of it is
Okay.
rusted away.
Yeah. All right.
Please don't take that course of action in the future.
Well, it
I mean, unless you have a
action.
plan for how to
Right,
dispose of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a plan, that's great.
Yeah. Yep, and picking up little things that can be just taken out, you know, beer cans and maybe that antifreeze plastic container or something, but the big things that could have any kind of potential dangers because it's sharp or something, it's probably not good to have at the entrance to the trails. Let's see, any other new business? Nope. All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And the meeting